Guess what just happened? Without a press conference, without a big announcement, without anyone ringing alarm bells. A British engine maker quietly changed the balance of power in European airspace. And by the time Washington noticed, the shift was already underway. Rolls-Royce didn't launch a new fighter jet. They didn't roll out a flashy prototype. Instead, they did something far more dangerous. They upgraded an aircraft most people had already written off, Sweden's Gripen, and suddenly, the question inside NATO rooms isn't whether the Gripen is good enough anymore, it's whether the F-35 can hold on to its throne. For years, the assumption inside NATO was simple. Modern air warfare demanded one thing above all else: stealth. And stealth meant the F-35. Yes, it was expensive. Yes, it burned through budgets. Tens of thousands per flight hour. Massive infrastructure requirements. Endless maintenance. But that was framed as the price of superiority. That belief held firm until late 2024. Because when Rolls-Royce quietly completed its upgrade package for the Gripen E, something unexpected happened. A fighter jet priced under $100 million suddenly started showing capabilities that weren't supposed to exist outside fifth-generation platforms. And that caught a lot of people off guard. Ottawa reportedly requested classified briefings. Analysts in Finland and the Czech Republic began asking uncomfortable questions about contracts already signed. Inside Washington, a deeper concern emerged. If the Gripen could do this, NATO standardization around the F-35 might no longer be guaranteed. The Gripen was never designed to win a stealth arms race. That's the key thing most people misunderstand. Sweden didn't build the Gripen to dominate the world. They built it to survive it. The philosophy was completely different. Real combat conditions, harsh environments, limited budgets, total independence, a fighter that could operate when supply chains break down and runways disappear. This aircraft can take off from a snow-covered highway with just a handful of technicians. No massive support crews, no specialized hangars, minimal prep time. The mission-ready rate regularly sits between 80 and 90%. Compare that to the F-35, which has struggled publicly with availability rates hovering far lower. Then compare costs, roughly $8,000 per flight hour for the Gripen versus $35,000 to $47,000 for the F-35. That difference isn't accounting trivia. It shapes how a country fights, patrols, and deters threats. But those numbers were only the foundation. What most people don't know is that Rolls-Royce wasn't just supplying engines to the Gripen program. Since 2018, Rolls-Royce Germany has partnered with GE Aviation on producing the F4 and 14 engine used by the Gripen E. Officially, their role focused on assembly and support, routine, boring, nothing headline-worthy. But according to multiple independent defense reports, Saab quietly gave Rolls-Royce a far deeper mandate: optimize the engine's auxiliary systems, redesign airflow management, rewrite internal logic, improve thermal handling, all without fanfare. This wasn't a routine maintenance upgrade. This was a strategic-level technical intervention. When the package was finalized in late 2024, European defense analysts described it as the biggest turning point in Gripen history. Inside Washington, the reaction was far less enthusiastic. So what actually changed? First came what analysts are calling smart stealth. Rolls-Royce redesigned exhaust flow and internal cooling channels. The result was a drastic reduction in infrared signature, not invisibility, but enough to confuse modern heat-seeking systems. And here's the painful part. This approach costs a fraction of traditional stealth maintenance. No fragile coatings, no constant reapplication, just engineering efficiency. At low altitude, the Gripen accelerates aggressively. At high altitude, fuel efficiency improves. Patrol times extend without refueling. Maneuverability improves to the point where analysts now speculate it could outperform heavier fighters in close-range engagements. That part remains speculative, but it's being discussed seriously now. Then there's the engine's brain. Large portions of engine control software were reportedly rewritten. Faster throttle response, smarter power distribution, deeper synchronization between propulsion, radar, and electronic warfare. The Gripen's Orexis electronic warfare system can now operate at full output without degrading flight performance. Sweden's defense authorities have publicly stated the Gripen E can jam enemy radar more effectively than any other European fighter. Maintenance also changed dramatically. Repairs became faster. Downtime reportedly dropped by nearly 40%. In Arctic operations, that difference is decisive. This is where it stopped being technical, because these upgrades carry a political message. Europe can field high-end fighters without total dependence on American systems. The upgraded Gripen E unlocks capabilities once considered exclusive to the F-35, but it does so with the lowest operating cost in the West and with full technological independence. That combination triggered alarm. Canada reportedly requested classified evaluations of the Gripen E for Arctic defense. Finland and the Czech Republic began reassessing long-term implications. Other countries quietly asked about technology transfer, something the F-35 does not allow. Inside Washington, 3 questions surfaced. Why wasn't this detected earlier? Are export controls losing relevance? And if NATO loses standardization, can joint operations survive? This isn't just about aircraft. It's about control. For decades, air dominance followed a simple formula. Spend more, control more. The Gripen challenges that idea. High performance without financial exhaustion. Electronic warfare without dependency. Survivability without total invisibility. Rolls-Royce and Saab didn't just upgrade a jet. They opened a door. An era where air power doesn't require permission. Where alliances don't mean lock-in. Where efficiency competes with dominance. NATO now faces a quiet decision. Adapt or cling to a system that's starting to crack. Because when power shifts like this, it doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly. And by the time everyone notices, it's already changed.